A good Moed Rabboisai. Part one of a two Shir Ezuneshech series Erev Yontif. Here we go. The Gewaldige Ezuneshech. Today we have a beautiful daf of Agadata. Great stuff. On the way we'll learn some halachas as well. And I want to show you something very unique happened. I'm not sure if this was coordinated or not, but I want to show you the first email has nothing to do with it. The second one, and the third one, and the fourth, fifth, sixth, they all have something to do with each other. I was traveling to Lezensk with my friend, and it was so inspiring to see him learning the daf and not skipping a day. Mark, you can keep on driving. Don't worry about this. I got this, almost. This picture's on the flight on the way back. He and I are both Satmar Williamsburg Hasidim, and I started to consider I always love to see Satmar Hasidim learning with us, especially after I showed the video of the Satmar Rebbe, and one or two Hasidim got insulted. I don't know why, but they said I should have been insulted if I said. But anyway, hopefully these guys didn't even see it, and they're learning Torah. Rabbi said, check this out. So we discussed the other day about the Chavrusa program. In fact, on our new website, we already have a tab called Chavrusa. But I think it's going to be bigger and better than this. But I want to show you something very interesting. Dear Eli, I converted many years ago in South Africa and now live in Managua, Nicaragua. You and MDY do amazing things. However, when I heard about the idea of having an MDY Chavrusa, brought me great chizuk. Being in such a remote place with no one to learn with makes trying to keep up with the daf a real struggle. I'm sure there are other in Latin America I can learn with, but we really need a medium like MDY Chavrusas to act as a shotgun for others like me. Guten Moed. You hear this from Nicaragua? It's mind-blowing, the different places that people are learning Torah with us. Unbelievable. The Achdus, a ger from Nicaragua, Rabbi Nisim Mordechai Makor, down here in Central American Nicaragua. So that's email number one. You're not going to believe it. Email number two. Captain Mark Ayal, Squadron Commander in New York. Dear Rebelli, we're quite excited to hear that MDY is going to have a Chavrusa Center. I'm the commander of the U.S. Air Force Auxiliary Base out of New York. We are volunteers in the U.S. Air Force. This organization started a week before Pearl Harbor. Our members will all work, and are very busy, so having a Chavrusa, especially for Daf Yomi, is a real eye-catcher, and for sure we'll get a lot of guys to join that would not have without having a Chavrusa. We'll be sure to spread this to Hatzol in New York, and Chaverim, who are all close here in New York City. Agut Moed, Commander Captain Mordechai Ayal, brother of Yaakov Ayal, MDY merge, Agut Moed Yaakov Ayal. Dear Reb Eli, I am a U.S. Army soldier who recently returned from a deployment to South Korea. Baruch Hashem, I'm now safely back in my base in Virginia. Just found out about your new MDY Chavrusa initiative. It already became an initiative. They figured, okay, so what I'm thinking is that they're in cahoots over here. If not, it'll be a pella. But we'll get some emails. No, we didn't discuss this. Just so happened to be that 6 chaplains from the United States Army sent me emails. Only 6. Okay, here we go. Just found out about your new MDY Chavrusa initiative. I meet many people in my position. It would be a privilege to let other service members that I have a chance to speak with now about MDY and all that it offers. I've been in the Army for over 20 years and I've deployed overseas 7 times. This has demonstrated to me that without a Chavrusa, it would be almost an impossible task to keep up with and understand the Daf Yomi without a Chavrusa. With Torah blessings for all that you do, Captain M. Jeremy Lawson, MD, Doctor, U.S. Army Joint Base, Langley, Eustis, Virginia. Something like that. Dr. Jeff Montanari. Dear Belly, I heard you speak about starting in the Chavrusa. Speaking for myself, I don't have a learning background and work full-time for a major military contract in Tampa, Florida. There is no one around me that I can learn with, and I learn best one-on-one. You missed it, Shlomo. Guy from Nicaragua sent in, he wants the Chavrusa thing. At MDY Chavrusa, it totally changed my feeling of drowning in the day to daf to one of feeling I can really swim and succeed at this. Honestly, without a Chavrusa, I can't see myself lasting. I started with Baba Kama, but with so many difficult contests, not having someone to learn with at least a few times a week would make a day and night difference to me. I'm sure I'm not the only one. You're doing an amazing effort, but I'm sure for thousands of us around the world, they like me struggle to keep this up. All my best. Ari Ben Avraham, Tampa. Dear Belly, I'm an avid listener to your share when time permits in United States Army Rabbi Chaplain stationed in Columbia, South Carolina, originally from Lakewood. This is Chaplain David Eggert. Here's his picture. This is an amazing effort on the part of them, a great resource to help people like myself get able to learn. I applaud you for this initiative. Okay, we got to get going here. Being the garrison-based rabbi at the Fort Jackson, South Carolina Army base gives me the opportunity to introduce MDY to those that I meet being here. You showed my picture with Rabbi Velvel Cohen watching online a few months ago. Good morning, Chaplain David Eggert, USA. Dear Rebelli, Chaplain Aaron Cohen, Waterbury, Connecticut. You hear what's going on here? I don't think this is a coincidence. But you know what I like about it? That these guys are organized. And they sent out a message. This is what I'm thinking. Forgive me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, send me an email. Tell me, no, all 6 of you guys sent in emails independently, had no idea of each other. But if not, even if yes, that means you're organized. We're going to get this program going, and you guys are going to help us organize it with the talents that you have from the United States Army of organizational skills and all that stuff. We're going to get this thing rolling. My name is Chaplain Aaron Cohen. You showed my picture a few months ago as we were learning when I was training in South Carolina. You spoke about getting learning partners, and it's an amazing idea. It will absolutely change the learning atmosphere when we know we have a group of people to learn with. We will do our best to spread it to all the Jewish soldiers, not just in the U.S. Army, but to those in the U.S. Air Force and in the U.S. Navy as well as all the Jewish soldiers who are connected to one another. All my best. Keep up the amazing work that you do. Chaplain Aaron Cohen, Waterbury, Connecticut. Rabbi Isai, so it's amazing. Listen, if this could pick up, that's one part of the idea. One part of the idea is to have a chavrusa. Each person has basically somebody that he knows that will remind him to do the daf, to shmuz about the daf. Not necessarily to learn the daf every day. You could do that as well, but a chavrusa system. But I think the chavrusa system should be in a larger system with a larger group. Within the group, you can have chavrusa, but you are part of a group. Let's see all the Army guys in one group. 10, 20, 30 guys. The Waterbury guys, one group. The Nicaragua guys, one group. I think that's what will make it much starker. We'll have siyumim in these groups. We're going to go to Los Angeles and really make a huge changes here in Los Angeles. Be'ezer Hashem. Right, Shlomo? Be'ezer Hashem. Shaking his head, yes. Rabbi said the Masech, sponsored by Anonymous, was safe and speedy return for all the hostages. Parnas HaChodesh L'Nishma Zechariah Ben Moshe L'Nishma Zechariah Bas Yosef. Parnas HaChodesh Ben Yomin Rosenfeld B'Atzlach business and all my endeavors. Parnas HaChodesh for the art, Anonymous for the schus, for an easy childbirth, his daughter and a healthy baby. Rabbi Isai, the Omer, is sponsored for Sarah. Okay. That's it. She's no longer. Oh my goodness. Yesterday we said the refuah Sarah. Oh my gosh. I wish somebody would warn me about this stuff. Sarah Olah Shalom Bas David, a 10-year-old girl. Yesterday there was a girl fighting for her life, and this individual sponsored the Svirsheimer. We didn't have Svirsheimer as a sponsorship, but I don't know who this person is. He asked if he could sponsor it. He said, I'll give $1,000. The refuah is this girl. They asked me, is that okay? I said, okay, fine, let's go. Okay, it should be Le'ilu Neshama. Her parents shouldn't know about Yitzhar. Oy, I don't like to start cheering like this. Eizu Neshech. So, it depends. When you're watching this year, it's the 6th day, whatever, I can't even say it. To me, it's the 5th day of the Omer. To you, it could be anything. It could be 1 plus 5, 2 plus 5. And if you notice on the side, it says it's about the Yomi. They changed it. Thank you, whoever changed it. It is about the Yomi. Sfiras Omer is the Yomi. So her neshama should have an aliyah. I got to get my head straight here. We're learning Eizu Neshech, and we're learning this Lilui Nishmas Sarah as David. We are holding 3 lines from the bottom of Samach Lamed Beis. Let me ask you a question. This is going to be discussed in the Gemara. When I was a bacher, I was learning in Chaim Berlin in New York, and I had a very good friend. He lives today in North Miami Beach. His name is Moshe Schwab. He had a Chevy Caprice, I think it was called. You remember? It was a cop car. So one day I saw his keys laying around. So I grabbed the keys and I took the car and I parked it 3 blocks away. I knew he's never going to go there. And I was with him also. He says, "Where's my car? Where's my car? I parked it over here. It's not there." And, a prank. I'm sitting, I was like, wow, we got to call the cops. He called the police. He goes, he comes. 4 hours later, I let him know that his car is safe and sound, and, I parked it. Is that a mitzvah to be misameach him? He had a big simcha. Is that an avera? What's the halacha? I don't know, I have these allergies. It keeps on itching. If you wonder why I go like this, now Jonathan Stefanski gets more tired to say about me. Okay, so we're going to see that it's probably not a good thing to do. Nah. Show them this. Give me this. Shlomo Lazarian wants me to show you this. This is my father-in-law's diagram of a sugya. We also made a diagram. But the point is, he gave one of these out to every person in the shir. Let me see if there's any. Oh yeah, there's more stuff going on there. This is how he does it. He gives the shir here, the official shir in the hotel, and that's where I learned the idea. I took his idea. Oh, here's another one. We did a chart for this. This is the chart of Chamisha Chumshenhain. With Abayi said the question is not good, not good. Then he says. And he goes over here. Good answer. Anyway, fine. My point is, you never know. You do some chart somewhere in a small little hotel, and then 20,000 people are benefiting from this a day because of his idea. Yishkoyach, Dr. Michael Friedman, my Chosheva father-in-law. So, we're going to see one of the things that we're going to see today that it's not a very good thing to do. It might be also, it's not a good thing to do. Tana Rabbah. 3 lines from the bottom of Samach Mid Beis. Es kas b'chol yisitin loy b'neshach. It says in the pasuk. We don't have to show the pasuk because here's the pasuk. Es kas b'chol yisitin loy b'neshach. Your money you shall not give to a borrower b'neshach by biting him. Uvemarbis. And as we discussed yesterday, there's 2 things. One is called neshach. One is called marbis. We established yesterday that the Torah says 2 things just to give the person 2 dings. He gets 2 averis, 2 lavim, 2 malchus, 2 isurim b'shamayim. Ubemarbis. So the money is neshech, and the Torah says ubemarbis loisitin ochlecha. Ribis is on food. So the Gemara says ein li elo neshech b'kesef ribis b'oichel. It says neshech when it comes to money and ribis by food. How do you know that there's 2 on each? Neshech ba'oichel. How do we know Neshech ba'oichel? And the Gemara is going to say, and how do you know ribis on money? Taman loymar neshech ba'oichel. Here's a great picture that Yoshi put together. Loan sharks, ribis loan shark, LTD. Shmak. So it says in the pasuk, neshech ba'oichel. You see over here in this pasuk, and this is important for later on. This pasuk, as I put on top, is referring to the loiva. Loi sashich is referring to the borrower. Don't be bitten by your brother. It doesn't say loi sashuch with a vav. It's ich with a yud. In Lashon Kodesh, the way dikduk works or dikduk works, it means don't get bitten. Loi sashich. Don't bring upon yourself a bite. And it says neshech kesef. Now, so what if it says neshech kesef? Sorry. Oh, sorry. I showed you the wrong passage. It says neshech oichel. Neshech oichel. Ribis b'kesef v'nayin. Tamaloymar neshech kesef. This is the pasuk that I am showing you. How do you know the ribis when it comes to money? So the Gemara gives you a pasuk that says the word neshech, not ribis kesef. How does that make any sense? So the Gemara explains that Samach Aleph Omad Aleph. Imeinoi inyan l'neshech kesef. If it's not needed for the biting of money, Sharik Farnema Lisashach Lo Achicha. Look at the beginning of the pasuk. Lisashach is already telling you the biting part, money. Tneu inyan l'ribas kesef. So if you say Shloishes Three Midos Shatorin dresses behem every day, so all the way at the end it says Davar Halamed Minyonoi v'Davar Halamed Me Saifai. Okay, so Imeinu Inyan, actually that's all the way at the end. Sorry, confused. Let's go back. It says we don't need it in this pasuk. So we don't need it. It's similar, it's the same thing, but we'll get to it all the way at the end of the Amud. Imeinu Nesh Kesef, Sharik Nemar Lisashach L'Achicha, Tneu Inyan L'Ribis Kesef. So here we have the idea of the word ribis by money, even though it says the word neshech, but I don't need it. So if I don't need it, we flip it into marbis, the ribis. Now that we saw this pasuk, it's talking about a loiva, a borrower. So how do you know that these two averas apply to the lender as well? Nemar neshech b'loiva, v'nemar neshech b'malva. Here, so over here by the loiva it says neshech. By the way, in this pasuk it says neshech oichel, right? Before we're looking for Neshech Oichel. Here it is, Neshech Oichel. I should have highlighted in the second line in the middle, next to the red. Neshech Oichel. Now, by the Malva, it says also Neshech. Here's the pasuk by Malva. It's Kasif Kol Yisidan Loi Ben Neshech or Ben Marbis. So this is the word Neshech. So we have Xer Shav. It says the word Neshech by Loiva. It says the word Neshech by Malva. And we learn the two, one from each other. Ma Neshech Omer Beloiva Leichalakta Boi Ben Kesef Ben Boichel. Ben Bekesef Ben Boichel. There's no difference between money and food. Bein beneshech, bein beribis. The loiva is over on two isurim, neshech and ribis. Av neshech homer b'malva, itachlik boy, bein bekesef, bein ba'oichel, bein beneshech, bein beribis. So whatever applies by a loiva applies by a malva, vice versa. Because we have Xer Shav, we have the same word in both psukim. So we learn one from the other, and therefore the malva is over on two isurim, the loiva is over on two isurim. One is called neshech, one is called marbis, ribis. Menayin l'Rav is called davar, and what about a car and a bike? How do you know that if I lend you my car and I ask you for two cars in return, that's also ribis? Tamaloyman neshach called davar asher yishach. Here we go. The final line on this passage by the loiva says called davar, every object. Ravina Omar. Ravina says I don't need Xer Shav. Now you know what the problem with that is. What do you mean I don't need Xer Shav? Ravina is an Amora. Xer Shav is not logic. Xer Shav is something that Moshe Rabbeinu received from HaKadosh Baruch Hu on Har Sinai. And if Moshe Rabbeinu is telling you that it says the word Neshech by Loiva, it says the word Neshech by Malva, so Ravina doesn't have the right to come and say, oh, I don't need the Xer Shav. Hashem gave it to Moshe Rabbeinu. What do you mean I don't need it? So that's the Gemara is going to deal with that. The Gemara is going to say, in fact, there is Xer Shav, it's for something else. Ravina Omar, Loi Neshech ba'oichel, v'loi ribis b'kesef tzuri kro. I don't need this Xer Shav. So he says a very, very simple thing. Check this out. Look what it says. Here's the pasuk. Here's the pasuk. So the way we read it is, you see the horseshoe under the word beneshech, that's a comma. So it's kas v'chol yisidan loy beneshech, comma. Uv'marbes lo yisidan ochlecha. But he says that we can read it both ways. We're going to put the two words, beneshech uv'marbes, in the center. And it could go for the beginning of the pasuk, and it could go for the end of the pasuk. Otherwise, why was it written this way? It could have said, he says, let's see it inside. The Yichsiv is kas b'chol yisidan loy beneshech. It will say kas b'chol yisidan loy beneshech, period. And the word achlecha would be in between the word neshech and marbes. Great. But because those two red words, beneshech and marbes, are together, it's to tell you that neshech and marbes go on kesef, above, as kasef kol yisidan loy, beneshech and marbes. And then you read it again, the two red words, u beneshech and marbes yisidan achlecha, those two, neshech and marbes, also go for the bottom part of the pasuk, which is talking about ribis. Kilgamers will be like you said. Why are the words Neshul Marbis together? Listen, Kari Beyachi is Kas Chalasin Lebeneshul Marbis. Ubeneshul Marbis Lisitin Ochlecha. Next, ask the Gemara the question that we just said. Votana Nemar Nemar Komar. The Tana says Nemar Neshech. He's bringing you a Gzer Shava. He didn't just make up Gzer Shava. Nobody makes up Gzer Shava. Gzer Shava comes from generation to generation, all the way from Moshe Rabbeinu. So how could he say, "Oh, it doesn't exist"? Says Gemara, if there was no pasuk, I could have said Gzer Shava. I don't need the Gzer Shava, says Rabbeinu, but it still doesn't help me. So why did Hashem give Moshe Rabbeinu the Gzer Shava? Says the Gemara, according to Ravina, that the malva is over on bikes and cars. I didn't know that part. That I don't know. That the malva is over on neshech and marbis. I can learn from loiva. I learn from the way the pasuk says it without exertion. But the fact that there's ribis on computers and on other items, not food items and money, that I didn't know. For that I need exertion. I'm telling you, this is easy stuff, and let's enjoy it. Omar Rabba, Lomali, the cause of Rahman, lav beribis, lav begezel, lav boina. Why does the Torah tell us 3 psukim that there's an isser to take interest, ribis, there's an isser to steal, and there's an isser oina? We had a whole sugya about oina, more than a whole sugya, many days, maybe more than a week of oina. Right in the end of Perek Hazov, you cannot you can't upcharge a 6. Oina. Now, they all come from the same source. You're not allowed to take from somebody something that doesn't belong to you. You're not allowed to upcharge him. You're not allowed to steal from him. Now, ribis, you're right. Ribis is a big chiddush. You're not taking anything from anyone. You agreed upon this price. You're not taking from him. Okay, so let's assume that ribis is not part of the question here. That the question is more, why do I need a pasuk by gezel and ena? You can learn it out of ribis. Tzrichi, says the Gemara. You need all 3 psukim because of Rachman lav beribis mishum l'chidush. Itaka is choppy. Okay. I forgot to check if I'm on the internet, on the Wi-Fi here. I hope it's okay. Gavaldik. So the Gemara says, if we would just say it by ribis, by interest, mishum l'chidush, it's a tremendous new idea that we would have never dreamed of. The guy paying the interest, he's also over on ribis. It's not just the guy receiving the interest. So from that I can't learn anything. Because of Rachmana la begezel, if I only say by stealing, mishum the bal korche, a person took something forcefully, but when you go willingly to a store and you uppay a 6, a maloi, maybe you're not over. Because when it comes to Oina, he doesn't know he has to be. It's a little tricky, the wording here. He doesn't know that he has to be Michael. A guy that gets upcharged, he goes home, he doesn't have a clue that he's just overpaid. Doesn't know. Maybe if he would have known, he wouldn't have bought it to begin with. He didn't know. And he'll never know. So it's very, very severe. And if it's very severe, you can't learn Gezel from it. Says the Gemara, I can't learn 1 from 1. Tasty chodem etarti. Let's learn 1 from 2. This is a classic Gemara, and let me show you how it's done. Here are 2 on the top. Hey Tasty. Let's just let the Torah just teach us these 2 things. Gezel and Ina. And what's the 3rd thing? Interest. Let me learn interest from those 2. Malahanoch, I can't. Why? They have something special. Shekain shaloi medas. Gezel, stealing, and upcharging a 6 is without consent. Shaloi medas. Toima beribis the medaite. But when it comes to interest, there's 2 willing parties involved. So I would think that it's okay. So, therefore, let's start over. Another 2. Let's take Gezel and Ribis, and now the Torah doesn't have to talk about Aina, and I can learn Aina from Gezel and Ribis. He didn't go to the store to purchase something. But a guy that goes to the store, I know it's different. He goes and he purchases. When I purchase something, sometimes I overpay. That's just the way it is. Yeah? How many women do you know that go and purchase purses that cost thousands of dollars? They overpay. But they want to overpay. They go to the store, they overpay. That's how buying and selling works. Sometimes you pay a normal price. Sometimes you overpay. Let's say it's a new car, a new phone that came out. You overpay. That's how it goes. So you can't learn enough from it. Oh, let's start over. Oh, so the Gemara says, okay, so let's take the other two. Let's take ribis and Eina and learn what? Gezel. So what are you going to answer? Ribis is a chiddush. Eina techiyach. Oh, I can learn from Eina that doesn't. It's not a chiddush. And what are you going to say? That Eina is different. That he doesn't know that he should be Michael. Ribis techiyach. Oh, now we have a circle. Each one has its own little chiddush, and each one is different. But there's a common denominator. All three is taking something from someone else that doesn't belong to you. So maybe I could learn gezel from it. You're right. You could learn gezel from ribis and Eina. You could. So the question is, so then why does the Torah talk about stealing? Says the Gemara, there's a type of stealing that I wouldn't know from regular stealing, and that is not paying your employee on time. You don't want to pay him. So why is that different than regular stealing? Because regular stealing means I go into your property and I take something from you. Over here, I'm not taking anything from you. I'm just not paying you. I'm withholding. How's it called in English? Withholding wages. Withholding wages. Did I take wages from you? I didn't take money out of your pocket. I owe you money and I'm not paying you. That's not stealing. Says the Torah, you are stealing. You're over on stealing. Says the Gemara, I don't need a pasuk for that. It's a mefurish pasuk. You shouldn't withhold wages. Oni be'evin. Says the Gemara, the Torah is telling us that you're over twice. If you withhold wages, you're over 2 lavim. Says the Gemara, why say that you're over 2 lavim? On withholding wages, say you're over another lav. Say that it goes on ribis, which we already said it's 2 lavim. 3 lavim. 2 lavim. Says the Gemara, very simple. The obvious answer. Oh, this is Davar Alav Minyana. Davar Alav Minyana. Davar Alav Misoifer. Davar Alav Minyana. It's better, we prefer to learn something from, it has nothing to do with what we said in the beginning of the Amud. Similar but different, very different. Since withholding wages that we just said is in the parsha of Sachar, of an employee, so therefore it makes sense to give withholding wages a double whammy and say that he's chayiv 2 times. Huh? Samachal, Satansky I know. I don't want to say anything. Nobody. Sometimes people sponsor, they little, but they're spacing out. It's Chalamoid. They don't know. Shabsi Cohen did something like a questionnaire to see if people are still holding. A lot of people sent in, yeah, they did this, that. Sponsored by Kinnovations in honor of my uncle Rabbi Chanan Pressman and his chusfak, he was Simcha Mefega. Can you imagine losing a 10-year-old? It's not comprehensible. Nobody wants to think about it. Nobody wants to, maybe it's a good idea to sit down, think. A person has a young child, 10-year-old, and the child is gone, never coming back. On Yontif, on Pesach, official mitzvah motivators in honor of the Lehmans for sponsoring Sfarim for the daily Ner Talmud learning. The Gewurzman brothers for your sides of our grandfathers, Achavar Moshe ben Yerachmiel Shalom and Rav Eliezer Moshe ben Reb Shema Zatzal. Ask the Gemara, Loitig Noivu. Okay, so we can learn everything from everything. We can learn Gezel from Ribis and Eina. Loitig Noivu, the Kasar Rachmana Lamali. Now, I just want to point something very important now. There was, they say there was a Hasidic kid that later on became a Rebbe. He was a big master and sat in the shul learning. An old man came in and accused him of stealing his walking cane, his stick. So the people told him in the shul, no, it's impossible. This guy's he's a good kid, he's a big learner, he's a masmid. He would never be over unless signal. So the kid pipes up and he says, even if I stole the stick, I wouldn't be over unless signal. Leisignov is in the Aseres HaDibros. Leisignov in the Aseres HaDibros means don't kidnap. Stealing a walking cane is not kidnapping. But there's another pasuk called Leisignov. So if you look over here, it says Leisignov, the Kazer Rachmana Lamali. Look at the Tanya. Leisignov. So over here, the Vilna Gaon says it's not Leisignov, it's Leisignovu. Because it's a completely different meaning. Almanas lemeikat. Oy vavoy vavoy. The Torah is telling us that it's usher to steal, to hurt somebody else. So there's a need in here. What exactly happened? Did you steal it and you thought that you're going to give it back? If that's the case, some of the Rishonim, the Shita brings, and the Rabbeinu Tam, that then everybody's over on it. People take things from people all the time and, pretend that it disappeared and put back. So you're over on the signal. So that's why the Shita learns, the Rishonim, that it means that it's very interesting. You stole it, you're never going to give it back. But you stole it to hurt somebody, not to benefit yourself. To me, it's not such a big chiddush, but that's how they learn. I'm not stealing it because I want to use your bike. I want to steal it to hurt you. Oh, for that I need a pasuk. But let's go with the other way. I'm stealing it to give it back. I'm stealing it temporarily. So Mela, so what's the halacha? Are you allowed to steal your friend's car to prank him? So there's a Mefurish Rambam that says that one should not do that even as a joke, because it's similar to stealing. It gets you used to stealing. So Mela is saying, so let's say hitting your friend in a joking way should also be asur if so. Because hitting your friend, you're over on lo yosef, pentoisef. So you're getting used to hitting. Okay, different things.
Rashi said tsar. Whatever tsar is physical or emotional too. The guy thinks he lost an object.
Yeah. But it's a prank, it's a joke, and everybody laughs afterwards. Ha ha ha. It's problematic. I'm saying it's problematic. So somebody asked this Deichemet if he's permitted. He had a father, big Bal Chesed, similar to my father-in-law. Everybody has the code. I went into the house now during Chol Hamoed. I had to get a sefer. I go in there, and there's people in the pool. Nobody's in the house. People in the pool. So I thought maybe, there's a bunch of groups. They come every hour. They go into the pool. He's not even home. Nothing. And just recently, they had this person that was helping them, and they were this lady actually cleaned my house a bunch of times. They caught her stealing. Straight out stealing, taking stuff. There's silver everywhere. Takes. So you have a guy. His house is open to poor people, and things are disappearing all the time. So the son wants to know if he could save his father. How should save him? He's going to take the stuff himself, not tell his father. Take it. When the time comes, he'll give it back to his father. Right now, he's going to take it. So that's stealing almanas lemeikat. It hurts him now. It's not almanas, it's the opposite, to prevent him pain. But right now, it's causing him pain. So Zeichem told him he shouldn't do it. So he kept on pushing, and he said, listen, at the end of the day, my father's going to lose his money. So basically, it came out that if he supports his father, he gives his father money from that stuff, but it's not so simple. Before you start taking things from people, think about it. Another interesting shaila is like, get to us, afikaimen. What about afikaimen? Some people say it's problematic. I think Reb Chaim Kanevsky says that you should explain to your kids that you're moichel them, it's not gneva, but if they think you're training them, some people say, hey, you're training them to steal. Something that I didn't like so much, I have to say. My older son, he got a bunch of gifts, and he hid the afikaimen first, and the kids were supposed to find the afikaimen. So it was good for this thing because you're not training them to steal. But on the other hand, the kids were busy the whole Seder, literally 2.5 hours straight, just looking. Not a single kid was at the Seder. The younger kids I'm talking about. Fine. Meanwhile, one of the kids walking around with a nice fancy watch, the whole thing. Great. Zokti Gemara loy tignov. Here's another one. This is the son and the father. I'm stealing from you. I want to give you a gift. I know you won't accept the gift. I want to give you the egg. I know you're not going to accept it. So what do? I steal from you. You sue me, and I give you double. Oh, so here I gave you double. Here's a way that I can give you money without you looking like you're coming on to me for favors. You beat me in court. What a tzaddik. Also to do. Why does the Torah have to say a special isser when it comes to weights? You shouldn't cheat people with the weights. It's coming to say when a person buries his weights in salt, says Rashi, then it actually increases the weight, and that is good for a buyer, not for a seller, because now the buyer gets more. Let's say is a 1 pound weight. The 1 pound weight, just for argument's sake, goes to 1.5 pounds. Okay, I know it's not that much, but let's just to round it out, 1.5 pounds. So now, when he puts his weight on a scale, and the seller puts a bunch of strawberries on the other side, he gets 1.5 pounds for the price of 1 pound. So that's good for the buyer. So I told my chavrusa there are Rishonim who learned that it's the opposite, that salt decreases the weight. Right? The way we understand salt also, it's harmful for metal. So he said, please don't say it in shir, because he wrote the Kahoot test, and one of the questions is, what happens when you put a weight in salt? Does it increase? So he wrote the answer that it increases. So I'm like, no, I got to say this in shir. First of all, I was planning on saying it. But second of all, now people know there's something called Kahoot. There's a test. It's multiple choice questions. And the quicker you do it, the better you score, etc. So people should know. Got to make people aware once in a while. People work hard to put the test together, and people are taking the test, so yishkayach. But don't answer. In this case, do not answer that it decreases the weight. It increases the weight according to Rashi, because we go according to Rashi. Says the Gemara, Hainu Gezel Malyu. You need a special pasuk for that. That's stealing. Says the Gemara, Mishas Asiya, the unbelievable chiddush that when you put that weight into the salt, that's when you start being over. Not when you start using it deceitfully. Is that a word? In a store. It's when you submerge that weight in salt, the clock starts ticking with the Aveira. Tanarabana. Not very often do you see in Aveira that when you plan to do the Aveira, you're over on the Isser. He's planning on stealing with this weight by putting it in salt. Boom! He's over. Big chiddush. You shouldn't do wrong when it comes to measurements and weights and liquid volume. Measuring land. So, they didn't have tape measures like we have today, made out of material that doesn't budge. They certainly didn't have lasers. They would use some sort of rope made out of string, whatever. So in the summer, it condensed, became smaller, shrunk. And in the winter, from all the moisture, it got longer. So now, if you're using the same exact string, but in 2 different seasons, so you'll give this guy 10 acres, and this guy will get 9 acres, or whatever it is. It's a problem. Let's say 2 brothers are splitting a Yerusha. This one gets a certain amount, and this one gets the other amount. So this is the halacha we just had before. You shouldn't submerge your weights in salt. You shouldn't make it bubble up. Let's say when you pour beer. So if you pour it fast, it froths, it bubbles, and then, or like soda, whatever it is, then you put it in a bottle, and you sell it to him, and all of a sudden the guy walks away. 3 minutes later, he has a half a cup instead of a whole cup.
It's like potato chip bags.
Yeah, but that's just the ear. It looks like it's full. You look at it, wow, it's a full cup. And then without drinking from it, it's half the cup. Says Gemara, so the art scroll says over here that echel mishloishim is a half ounce in our days. Okay? Stam Mustaver's doesn't understand. We're talking about a very small amount, half ounce. Echel mishloishim log, it could be the of Torah, and the Torah says, do not cheat a half ounce. I think it's very interesting because we're talking, this is stuff that we learn every single day now in Pesach. Revisahin, veloig, chatzi loig, revisa loig. Because all these measurements are much, much larger than a half an ounce. So certainly you're not allowed to cheat people in those measurements. Also in Yonan the Yoima, Lamali the Kazar Rahmani Yitzias Mitzrayim Beribis. Why does the Torah mention leaving Mitzrayim when it comes to taking interest? And why does the Torah say Yitzias Mitzrayim Gabi Tzizis? Yitzias Mitzrayim, I don't have to tell anybody where that pasuk is. Yitzias Mitzrayim by Mishkalos. And by, let's see what we have here. Oh, what a shame. Okay. It's fine. Oh. So in Ribbis, here's the pasuk by Ribbis. Remember we had the pasuk, one pasuk before, one pasuk after, sorry. We had pasuk Lamed Zayin, and then it says right away, right after it says Ribbis, by Amal, it says, Ani Hashem Lekechem, Asher Tzisi, Yitzcham, Yitzchayim, Blessed Lochem, Yitzchayim, Yitzchayim, Liz Lochem Lekim. Talks about Mitzrayim. By Mishkos, I don't have yet. Okay. Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Anihu Shivchanti b'Mitzrayim ben Tipa Shel B'char LeTipa She'enan Shel B'char. When it comes to the Mitzrayim were the women were Mizana, they had many different husbands, and only HaKadosh Baruch Hu could differentiate between a B'char to a non-B'char. Anihu She'asli Par Mimi She'toyle Ma'isa B'Nachri. So I will be the one who will avenge or revenge the person who says, look, I have a great idea. Shlomo, you want to borrow money from me? Great. Interest, 20% interest. Hey, you're not allowed to trips. It's not my money. I'm just holding on for a guy. I'm telling you, the $1 million I have here is not my money. It's Goyish money. You're allowed to borrow from a guy. You want? Oh, unbelievable. Truth is, it's my money. Do you know the difference? You don't know. Hashem knows the difference. Hashem will take care of you. Hashem will take care of the person that buries his weights in salt. So I spoke about this a number of times. We don't have to go into it again. But Kali Elon is this. It's indigo. Indigo is very, very similar in color to Tchelis. So the reason why I wear Tchelis today, one of the main reasons, is because the guy that came out with this whole thing, he says that Kali Elon is the same composition, the numeric composition as Tchelis. Even though Kali Elon is plant, and this is all on the cyber side, I don't know if this is real indigo or not, but something that looks similar to this. It's the same. I showed it once in Shir, M15, R6, whatever the DNA composition, whatever you want to call it, of the plant is the same as that of a snail. Of this turquoise, whatever it's called. Turquoise. No, Uric. I forgot the name of this snail, but anyway. So Mela, that's why it makes a lot of sense, this Gemara, that a person who wants to cheat, he could die because Tchelis is very expensive. Even today it's expensive, certainly in those days, when they didn't have the ability to go down deep and dive and get it. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows the difference. You could pass it off as real Tchelis and cheat people. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take revenge. Ravina Ikla L'Sur the Pras. Ravina went to, here's Surah, the one on the Euphrates. Amalei Rav Chanina Surah the Pras Ravina, and he told the Ravina, Yitzias Mitzrayim the Kazar Rachmana Gab Shrotzim Lamali. Why does the Torah talk about Mitzrayim when it talks about Shratz? And then it says in Pasuk Memhei, Kani Hashem le'mala eschem eretz Mitzrayim liyos lachem levikim. What does Mitzrayim have to do with eating bugs, shratzim, or mice? I was the one that differentiated in Mitzrayim between the B'char, non-B'char, and also the part of Mishum Arav, the Kiri Dogim Tmeim, the Kiri Dogim Tayim. I'm going to take revenge from the person who passes on non-kosher fish as if it's kosher. I know, why does it say in the Pasuk, Hamal, look in Pasuk Memhei, it says, Keni Hashem, Hamal, should be in red, but okay, next time, when it's not Erev Yantav. The Kazar Rachmana, why does it say Hamala? What's the question? What's the question, Reb Shlomo? What's the question? Why does it say Hamoiti as Chameretz Mitzrayim? Like it says in the Kriya Shema, in all other places. I took you out of Egypt. What's Hamala? I lifted you up. Says the Gemara, like the Tana, the Beri Bishmal, Tana Beri Bishmal. If not that I lifted up Klal Yisrael from Mitzrayim because this one thing, Shemitam Bishrotzim Dayi. In other words, if Klal Yisrael only gain one thing, that they don't eat, they're on an elevated level, that they stopped eating dead rats, that's enough. Because before they were on a low level, they were like the Mitzrayim. They were eating, like today in China, they eat shkatzim v'remasim. It's a low level. I elevated you because you are what you eat. Al pi Kabbalah, you eat a sheretz, you eat treif. It goes deep into your neshama, goes into your body, becomes you. It embodies you. So now you're not a sheretz, you're not a rat. You're an elevated person. Hamal, I elevated you. What? How come it doesn't say this word by ribbis? I'm the Hashem that doesn't allow you to take interest. I'm the Hashem that told you to put on tzitzis, the tchelos, and use regular weights. You're right. There could be this greater schar for doing all the other stuff. Ribbis, tzitzis. But to eat a sheretz is more disgusting. So it's interesting. A person, ribbis, is also something, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moitzim Mitzrayim, Mitzis Mitzrayim, eating shkasim Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim. The Pele Yoetz sticks in, and I saw this in a few places. There's like a Pel on the Pele Yoetz. He says, people who take interest is worse than eating chazer. So you can see over here that, look, at the end of the day, eating chazer is how much? 1 lav. Taking interest, we're going to see in the sugyas, it's 5 lav. So yeah, it's worse to take interest from somebody than to eat chazer. So, says the Gemara, what's tarbis? What's considered ribbis? So we went through the whole story. Hamar bebeperos. Remember, maybe I should have shown that. So if you remember the case, it's like this. What's tarbis? Let's go through the case. The guy says, "Give me a certain amount of wheat for a golden coin," and then the wheat went up in price to 30, from 25 to 30. So he says, you know what? Why do you want wheat? You want your wheat so that you can buy wine. You know what? I'll give you wine, but I don't have wine. And the wine could go up in price. It says Gemara, what? The first part of the Mishnah is not ribbis, only this. The first part of the Mishnah was d'oraisa. Again, what are the two conditions of Rabbi say? What are the two conditions of ribbis? Midoraisa. First of all, it's in a loan form. And second of all, it's ribbis ksutza. It's decided up front, I'm going to take 7% interest a year. It's decided up front. And it's a loan. Those are the two things. So the first part of the Mishnah said straight out, I'm giving you 4 coins, you're going to give me back 5. That's ribis ktsutza. But this case that we just showed with the wine, that's already Shaldevrayim, that's already the Rabban. We had yesterday. Rav also says the first part of the Mishnah is the Reis, the second part is the Rabban. Atkan Yochin Rosh V'Yid B'Shet Tzadik. So it's interesting. Halacha lemaisa, yeah. When I don't know lemaisa, halacha when a father takes interest from somebody else, and then he dies, the son, the tzaddik, who learns in Kailo, could use that money. He doesn't have to worry about it. He doesn't have to return the money. Says Gemara, Atkam Sulai. What? Just the first part of the Mishnah, in the Deraisa, the son and the Kailo could use the money, but the Rabbanan case of the barrels of wine for the wheat, and that you cannot use. Says Gemara, no, you misunderstood. El afilu. Atkan Yochan Rosh V'Yid Tzadik. Certainly in the Rabbanan case, the son and Kail could use the money. But even the Deraisa case, the son could use the money. Atkan Ribis Ktsutza. So, not to forget, and that it should be a muslik in Chas. We'll keep on repeating this, but I think it's very, very simple. Ribis Ktsutza means it's referring to Ribis Doiraisa. How do we say, Rabbi Yisai, non-Doiraisa Ribis? Very good. It says Shlomo Lazarian Avak Ribis. That's how you say it, the Rabbanon. So says the Gemara, Atkam Sulai Elafidu. I'm sorry. Atkan Shatoiro. No. Atkan Yochan Rosh V'Yid Tzadik. Atkan Sulai. Elafidu Atkan Yochan Rosh V'Yid Tzadik. Atkan Ribis. So Mikam Ve'elach Avak Ribis. The first half of the Mishnah is Ribis Ktsutza, Doiraisa. And the second part of the Mishnah is Avak Ribis, the dust of Ribis, meaning Ribis the Rabbanon. Omer Rebbe Lazar. Ribis Ktsutza Yoitze B'Dayanim. If somebody takes interest from his friend, that borrower could go to Bezdin and retrieve his interest. Avak Ribis and Yoitze B'Dayanim. But the Rabbanon Ribis, you cannot take back. Rabbi Yochanan argues, and that's what we're going to have a sugya tomorrow, proving against Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says that even the Raisa Ribis, you cannot get back. It's a question mark. He gives, what does he do for living? He gives out loans. And he's going to live? He's not going to live. He did terrible things. So says Rabbi Yochanan, he gets the death penalty, and he cannot return it. This was given to fear, you don't return. I could see it from the actual pasuk. Moist humas. Dam of boy, die shall die, his blood shall be in him, whatever. Those who lend with ribis are similar to those who kill. Just like a person who murders someone else, you can never take it back. You can't restitution. You can't resuscitate or what's the lashon? How do you say tches hamesim in English? Resurrect. You can't bring him back to life. And even if you do bring him back to life, by the way, let's say you do tches hamesim. So I think a lot of Rishonim say it's not the same person. Come Rav Shafter B'Zer, whatever whoever it was over there, when he killed him, it's a whole story over there. Even you do. It's very possible there's no Ish V'Sish, there's no, his wife is mutter, she got married, and then he's back alive again. So it's another person, it could be. I'll go upon him. The bottom line is, just like murder you can never take back, and so too, lending with interest, you can never give it back. Even if you pay, you do some sort of restitution, but the aver is still there. the Avel is still done. Rabbi Isai, have a Gewaldige Yontiv, a Gute Moyed, have a great day, have a wonderful day.